And as I was talking to one of the economists, he said each reals invested, you know, or spent, if you will, from a Saudi who visits Bahrain, what we call the economist, the multiplier effect comes into 3 riyals. So you know, you can see what is the positive impact on Saudis going to Bahrain, and again, vice versa, Bahrain is coming to Saudi. So I think the benefits are just you know, huge. You cannot really attach a figure to it. As I mentioned, the export today 35 billion Saudi riyal, grown in 2008, grown from, as I mentioned, 13 billion in 2004. So you can see really the increase in figures. It is not a minimal increase, it is really a huge increase. And I would really, as you mentioned, both countries are member of the WTO, both countries are member of the GCC, and both countries, they have a lot of things. Just recently, going through a single unified currency, being member of the monetary council, if you will, that will unfold to the single currency and to the GCC bank, if you will, unified bank. So I can see a lot of opportunities for the 2 countries, especially when we talk about the electricity efforts between the country, the connection or the joint efforts for electricity. As I mentioned, the health, the educational side. So it's more than pure economic or pure trade activities.
Very interesting. Now, Dr. Talat, the Kingdom of Bahrain has been exerting a big effort in developing its infrastructure, and we've seen improvement within the last 10 years. Also, there is a financial and business hub being developed within the territories of Bahrain. My question to you, how this is going to affect the economic prospect of Bahrain in the future, so taking in consideration that there is that Kingdom of Bahrain trying to get the piece of the pie in the Gulf from the international business?
You know, Bahrain is a small country, and this is no wonder. It's a small country really doing wonder. A small country but doing wonder things, really. And this is very similar to Hong Kong, very similar to Singapore. So the size really, sometimes when you small a country with a population around 1.1 million or so, I think that will give you the momentum to really develop yourself more quicker than a larger or a bigger economy and a more complex economy. So you rightly saw what you have said. We have seen a huge development in Bahrain, in Kingdom of Bahrain, not only on the infrastructure, if you will, or the building, or what have you, but on all aspects of life, if you will, on the health side, on the educational side. By the way, the Bahraini Center for Research and Development, they have a good relation with a couple of universities in Saudi Arabia in research related, mutual dealing, if you will. They have some ties and some relationship with King Fahd University for Petrol and Mineral. They have other relationship with other universities in Kingdom. So they have a very good research center in that regard, as I mentioned, the Bahraini Research and Development Center. So what we see each time really I travel to Bahrain, I see things different. Being a small country with good policies and procedures, if you will, from the economic point of view and from the development point of view, and the following ship, the follow-up of the program and the focus. What I like about Bahrain, definitely they have a focus. They have a focus in mind. They have very good plans, development plan. They implemented so rightly on the dot, as they say, and very consistent. Their plan is very consistent from the economic point of view. You mentioned a very important point when you said it's a financial hub. As you know, Bahrain has been for a long time a financial hub. Some of the Saudi banks, they have what we call offshore banking or offshore banking. And also Kingdom of Bahrain, they've been very well noticed worldwide for this offshore banking, but also more importantly over the Islamic banking. So also they are a very good hub to the Islamic banking, where it starts really to develop itself over there. Similarly to what's happening in Malaysia, similarly where it's happening in Saudi Arabia. So they are a very good financial hub. At one point of time, they have, if I'm not mistaken, they had more than 100 branches or satellite branch or a branch of a major bank located in Bahrain. They have very good training, also training center for banking. I remember I went a couple of times on that training center in Bahrain to be trained on banking issues and matters. So I think the opportunities, they have ample opportunities, aside from the geographic, it's a small country, but regardless of that point, is the brains, the Bahraini brains, is really where I really admire very much. And I think the done wonder things in the time, span of 10 to 15 years. Over the past 10 to 15 years.
We also have noticed that there are some Saudi businessmen who are investing heavily in Bahrain, some companies as well. And this is, I think, have affected the investment between both banks or both sides greatly. This is one thing. The other thing also, it has also increased the trade between the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the Kingdom of Bahrain. So how are those investors affecting the economic relations?
Well, as I mentioned, we have around 315 Saudi investors, a company that's Saudi, Bahraini Saudi, that Saudi do invest in Bahrain. We do also have like around 45 branches of Saudi companies registered in Bahrain. We have around 35 trading agency, also Saudi registered in the Kingdom of Bahrain. So as you rightly mentioned, having this huge investment, Saudis and Bahraini, they can exchange, if you will, their experiences, their views, how to run business, and also deploy the most, developed, if you will, trading aspect and trading tools in growing and enhancing such business. Let's not forget the Saudis own about 30% of a company called the Gulf Petrochemicals. And this is a very well noticed company that the Saudis own, as I mentioned, a major stake in it, almost a third. And also the Saudis owned an aluminum kind of Bahraini company called Alba. They owned around 20% stake in that company. So collectively, plus what, as I just have mentioned, we have around 13 billion worth of Bahraini investment registered in Saudi Arabia. So you can see how plus business flowing between the two countries. Plus, if you take the Causeway, the King Fahd Bridge, and how they flow, 50,000 is not a small number per day.
Not.
1,400 trucks. I don't think it's a small number back and forth on the bridge. So imagine how much value that would bring. 4 million from the Saudi side that travels to Bahrain on a yearly basis, on an annual basis. I don't think even this is a small number. I'm sure both economy of the two countries will benefit from that.
There are some people who live in Bahrain and go to work
and vice
in Saudi
versa,
Arabia.
by the way.
Yes, and
they live in Bahrain and they work in Saudi, or vice versa.
Exactly.
They live in Saudi and they work for Bahrain.
Yeah, and they have special arrangements for their entrance and exit, and this is very interesting.
Indeed.
Also, speaking of the King Fahd Causeway, the decision by the GCC countries to enter one another countries with national ID. How do you think this is helping the economic cooperation and the social also relations?
It's definitely helping on the nationals, if you will. A national, when he wants to travel and passport and stamp and paperwork, it's really boring and it's cumbersome, if you will. But if you can use your national ID, being treated like you are in Bahrain, being treated like a Saudi in Bahrain being treated like a Bahraini, and vice versa, Bahraini in Saudi treated like a Saudi, and so on and so forth. I think this is definitely, it would ease the flow of people. People will be more encouraged